Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sabbath. Or um, Today is the Shabbat, but it's also my 22nd year of marriage to Angela, my anniversary. But I'm gonna do this message. It's called "Remove the Tent Peg and Replace It with Another." I'm reading from Jasher 21. Yasher 21, not Jasher, but there was no J. But Abiyah, I thank you for today. I thank you for this 22nd year of marriage, but also for your Shabbat being of more significance. But I do thank you for the anniversary that I'm able to withhold with my wife. You've given to me her as a gift, and I cherish this gift. As you have also given us the Sabbath for rest, she is my peace. I escape from the world, work, all these other things, and I'm able to, rest and chill with my sunshine. And I thank you for that. So she's a great temp peg to put in place and have forever. So I thank you. Hallelujah. Okay. So I'm gonna start this off talking about Ishmael. Ishmael is the son of Abraham or Abraham. He was had by his wife, basically Sarah, who had been barren for many years, decided to give Abraham Hagar, her servant. Hagar was given to them in the land of Egypt. Basically, Hagar is a princess or a daughter of the Pharaoh of Egypt from one of his concubines. So she has, royal blood in her. But she's given to this Abraham, the father of the faith when it comes to Israel, to his household. See, the Pharaoh had taken Sarah because she was so beautiful. Seen her from a distance, even in her age, more mature age, he was able to see her beauty. And he wanted to take her and have her as his wife. And at that time, Abraham had convinced Sarah to say that she was his sister. There was something that, is kind of true, seeing that she's the daughter of one of his brothers, and so she would be a relative already per se, half relative. But so let's go over here and start reading a little bit. It's a nice little read. I'm gonna interject in the process, but let's get at it. Shalom, 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 shalom. Hallelujah. All right. And of course, it says Book of Joshua, chapter 21. And it was at that time, at the end of a year and 4 months of Abraham's dwelling in the land of the Philistines in Gerar, that Yah visited Sarah, and Yahuwah remembered her, and she conceived and bare a son to Abraham. And Abraham called the name of the son which was born to him, which Sarah bare to him, Isaac or Yitzhak. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac at 8 days old. This is according to the law. And this is before we have heard of the law being given. The law was given, by our reading to Moses, but I believe the law was already in place. And this right here is also something that points to that, because Isaac at 8 days old was circumcised, which was circumcision was a covenant made with Abraham. And Yah had commanded Abraham to do unto his seed after him. So, see, that was a command, a law. And Abraham was 100 and Sarah 90 years old. So she was barren 90 years before she had Yishak. When Yishak was born to them, and the child grew up and he was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast upon the day that Yishak was weaned. And Shem and Eber, Eber is where the name Hebrew actually comes from, or Ibrit, and all the great people of the land, and Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and his servants, and Phicol, the captain of his host, came to eat and drink and rejoice at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of his son Yishak's being weaned. Also, Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor his brother came from Haran, they and all belonging to them, for they greatly rejoiced on hearing that a son had been born to Sarah, or Sarah. Sarah means princess also. Named my second daughter after my grandmother, whose name is Sarah, but that name, because it was a biblical name, it stood out. And that's why we chose that name, grandmother, as well as the Bible at emphasis. And they came to Abraham, and they ate and drank at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of Yitzchak's being weaned. And Terah and Nahor rejoiced with Abraham, and they remained with him many days in the land of the Philistines. At that time, Serug, the son of Reuel, died in the first year of the birth of Yitzchak, son of Abraham. And all the days of Serug were 239 years, and he died. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was grown up in those days. He was 14 years old when Sarah bare Yishak to Abraham. He was 14, and he was considered grown up. In these days, 14 or puberty was seen as adulthood, something contrary to the modern day thing, but he was grown up. And he was the first son born to Abraham, and usually the firstborn has a claim, but of course, was not the first son born to the first wife. The first wife, that son born to the first, that first son for the first wife actually is the heir and not of other women. Many don't gather that. You have to look at that with Yaqub and his first son by his first wife, what would be Leah. But yeah, anyway. And Yah was with Ishmael, Mael, the son of Abraham, and he grew up. So Yah was with Ishmael, and he learned to use the bow and became an archer. And when Yitzchak was 5 years old, 5 years later, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Yitzchak and seated himself opposite to him. And he took the bow. He was an archer. He was good at it, and drew it and put the arrow in it and intended to slay Yitzchak. He wanted to get rid of his or his opposition, or his the heir, the one that would be in the way of him receiving everything that his father had. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Yishak, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham and said to him, cast out this bondwoman and her son. So get rid of Hagar, your other wife, and get rid of this other son of yours. For her son shall not be heir with my son, for thus did he seek to do unto him this day. So, he was gonna kill our son. He was gonna kill the true heir. He had that intent. It was in his heart. Get him up out of here. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, and he rose up early in the morning, and he took 12 loaves, significant 12 always, and a bottle of water, which he gave Hagar, and sent her away with her son. And Hagar went with her son to the wilderness, and they dwelt in the wilderness of Paran with the inhabitants of the wilderness. And Ishmael was an archer, and he dwelt in the wilderness a long time. And he and his mother afterward went to the land of Egypt, Mizraim. This is where her father, the Pharaoh, was. So they went back to their native land, and they dwelt there. And Hagar took a wife for her son from Egypt. So this is not a wife from the father's family or heritage. This is a woman from Mizraim, and her name was Meribah or Meribah. And the wife of Ishmael conceived and bare 4 sons and 2 daughters. And Ishmael and his mother and his wife and children afterward went and returned to the wilderness. And they made themselves tents in the wilderness in which they dwelt, and they continued to travel and then to rest monthly and yearly. And Yah gave Ishmael flocks and herds and tents on account of Abraham his father. So he was favored. He was very bereft. And the man increased in cattle. And Ishmael dwelt in the deserts and in tents, traveling and resting for a long time, and he did not see the face of his father. So this man who was an archer, good at hunting, he lived out in the wilderness, in the deserts, and he hunted, doing what he do. And he had no connection, you know, there was no daily connection to his father. And then sometime after Abraham said to Sarah, his wife, I will go to see my son Ishmael. So though he had sent him away, he desired to see his son. For I have desired to see him, for I have not seen him for a long time. So he let his intent be made known to his wife. He didn't ask her permission. He told her what he was going to do. And Abraham rode upon one of his camels to the wilderness to seek his son Ishmael, for he heard that he was dwelling in a tent in the wilderness with all belonging to him. And Abraham went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon, and he asked after Ishmael. And he found the wife of Ishmael sitting in the tent with her children. 4 sons, 2 girls, I think I said. And Ishmael, her husband, and his mother were not with them. And Abraham asked the wife of Ishmael, saying, Where has Ishmael gone? And she said, He has gone to the field to hunt. Again, he was an archer. And Abraham was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get off to the ground, as he swore to his wife Sarah that he would not get off from the camel. So yeah, he told his wife he was going, but he also told her how he was going to go. He gave her the details so she wouldn't worry. That's how I take it. And Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, My daughter, acknowledging who she is, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued from the journey. And Ishmael's wife answered and said to Abraham, We have neither water nor bread. And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abraham, neither did she ask him who he was. She basically gave him no attention. She, you know, she kind of ignored him and played him off like he was nobody. But she was beating her children in the tent, and she was cursing them. A lot of people think cussing is cursing. She was saying negative things towards them, basically, because the words that we have today did not exist back then. But she was saying negative things to them. Wish you probably stuff like, I wish I'd never had your nasty self, or, she wasn't treating them like a mother with love. And she also cursed her husband. She probably was upset that he was away from her and she had to be with those children. Can't stand your dang on daddy. Oh, he get on my dang on nerves. You look just like that back. Stuff like that. Stuff that a lot of modern women still do this day. Men do it too. So I'm not trying to differentiate from male and female, but you shouldn't speak ill to your children about the other parent. You shouldn't do that. She also cursed her husband Ishmael and reproached him. And Abraham heard the words of Ishmael's wife to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. She was dishonoring his son to his children, and he could hear it. And Abraham called to the woman to come out to him from the tent. And the woman came and stood outside to Abraham, for Abraham was still mounted upon the camel. This man had told his wife he was going to be on the camel. He gave her, he didn't hide from her his intent, told her what he was going to do. So he's honoring his word. He stayed on this camel just like he told his wife he would. A lot of men, hide their intents from their wives and tell them whatever, and that's not honorable. This man is an honorable man. He gave his word on something and he did what he said. Then Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, Why, when thy husband Ishmael returneth home, say these words to him. So he gave her a directive and a message for his son. A very old man from the land of Philistines came hither to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. So he's talking about himself. He's describing himself. He said, I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou was not here, he spoke unto me and said, When Ishmael thy husband returneth, tell him, Thus did this man say, When thou comest home, put away this nail, or this tent peg, nail of the tent, which thou hast placed here, and place another tent peg or nail in its stead. Replace it. She didn't gather that he was talking about her. You know, it was too swift of a she didn't catch his sarcasm, or she didn't catch his what you call that, an analogy, or she didn't catch what he was saying. And Abraham finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after that Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent. And his wife spoke these words to him. So she did at least pass on the message. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou wast not at home, he said to me, When thy husband cometh home, tell him, Thus said the old man, Put away the nail or tent peg of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail or tent peg in its stead. And Ishmael heard. He didn't have to get it directly from his father's mouth. The word alone and acknowledging that it was father was enough. He heard the words of his wife, and he knew that it was his father, and that his wife did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words, that he had spoken to his wife. And Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father, and Ishmael cast off that woman, and she went away. He divorced that woman, we might as well say. No, the word divorce is not here, so I'm adding it. And I'm not trying to add to the text. I'm just using that as a, a an example, or a word that modernly we could comprehend. No, it doesn't say divorce, so that's not what it's saying directly, but I'm seeing that that's what my visual is picking up, a divorce. So, my mind visual. So I'm not trying to imply or put that divorce because it didn't say that, but I'm just saying that's what so I don't want to add to it, but I'm just giving a visual or a thought from what I'm seeing or my mind is gathering together off of that. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife. He went to Canaan and took another wife, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he then dwelt. And at the end of 3 years, Abraham said, I will go again and see Ishmael my son, for I have not seen him for a long time. So see, I just want to break here for a moment and just talk on this just for a hot second, just a hot second. Modernly, when we haven't seen someone in a month, we have trepidation and issues and wonder how secure the relationship is. At first, it was many years before he seen his son, and the fact that he could give forth a message to the wife, this dishonorable wife, and the son heeded after years. That in itself is a testament to Ishmael as a son, as well as that father. You know, I'm a father of four biologically. You know, you could say five if you count the child from my first marriage that I married into, but he doesn't recognize me as a father, so I have to kind of honor that. But I would love that my voice or what I say still holds weight, even though they're not in my home, even though time passed. What Abraham had said to Ishmael held weight. Ishmael was able to hear from his father a message through somebody else's mouth and move. You can call me Moray, you can call me Zakin, you can call me whatever. I'm here as your peer, as your Ak, your brother, Akim. You know, it's a part of your Mishpah. If I'm saying what thus says Yah, be able to hear. If any teacher, leader, even your peers, because we all should be peers, because we are brothers and sisters. We're Ox and Akoti. That's what we are. None of us is really over the other like men want to lead over. Yah is our leader. If you hear Yah's voice from anyone, you should be able to take that in. If you know in your knower that it's from Yah, you should be able to take it in and accept it, no matter what rank that person is. You shouldn't have to have a respect of a person for you to hear Yah. A man that was in tune with Yah but was not of Yah was able to hear from his donkey. Yah's been able to use many things. He said he would even have the rocks cry out. You should be able to hear Yah if he's speaking. If you're open, if your Ruach is open, you should be able to hear him. And it shouldn't matter if the person is one you view as beneath you, which you should not do. You know, you should have the humility to know that you're a vessel used by Yah just as anyone else is. But again, let me get back to this because I'm reading, but I just wanted to break away from it and share something because all of us that are a part of his body are very important. There's not one of us more important than the other because he's focused on the whole. He's not focused on individual like we are. Doesn't matter if your role is greater. If the other role is not completed, you don't even get to do your role. Unity, wholeness, oneness, accord. That's what Yah is about. Not about your own individual accolades. Because you can gain stuff individually that can actually be to the detriment to the whole. Got to get that. All right, let me get back over here. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he then dwelt. And at the end of 3 years, Abraham said, I will go again and see Ishmael, my son, for I have not seen him for a long time. And he rode upon his camel and went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael. And his wife came out of the tent, and she said, He is not here, my master, for he has gone to hunt in the fields. He was an archer. He's doing what he does. He's working and to feed the camels. And the woman said to Abraham, Turn in, my master, into the tent and eat a morsel of bread. So her hospitality was on 100. This was a different spirit of a woman. Her ruach was completely different than the first wife. For thy soul must be wearied on account of the journey. You know, this right here really hits me hard because my Angela, my sunshine, is also my second wife. She's not my first wife. She's my second wife. I put away the first wife, yeah, anyway. Not trying to bash or say whatever, but that was a 4.5 year journey that did not last. And this one is a 22-year journey that's continuing. And Abraham said to her, I will not stop, for I am in haste to continue my journey, but give me a little water to drink, for I have thirst. And the woman hastened and ran into the tent, and she brought out water and bread to Abraham. So she was attentive to his need, and you know, she didn't wait around or, she wasn't hesitant. She was active, which she placed before him, and she urged him to eat, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted, and he showed favor his son Ishmael. And he finished his meal, and he showed favor or Baruch Yahuwah. And he said to Ishmael's wife, When Ishmael cometh home, say these words to him. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither and asked after thee, and thou wast not here. And I brought him out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael, thy husband, cometh home, say unto him, The nail of the tent, or the tent peg of the tent, which thou hast, is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. This woman has showed him honor. She served him, and she did it with joy. She reverenced his position as an elder, knowing that it was someone coming to see her husband. She did not dishonor him as the first woman did. And Abraham finished commanding the woman, and he rode off to his home to the land of the Philistines. And when Ishmael came to his wife, came to the tent, his wife went forth to meet him with joy and a cheerful heart. See, he went to go see his son from another woman, and his wife didn't take no issues with it. She met him with joy. She wasn't grieved about it. She wasn't jealous about it. She met him with joy and a cheerful heart. And she said to him, "Oh, no, excuse me. I'm reading it wrong. Uh, I'm mixing it up. Okay, excuse me. Give me corrected." And when Ishmael came to the tent, I don't know why I'm thinking about Sarah right now. Anyway, let me correct myself. And when Ishmael came to his tent, his wife went to meet him with joy and cheerful heart. So again, his wife her consonance was better than that first woman. And forgive my error, I made a mistake there, so I'm going to correct that. And she said to him, An old man came here from the land of the Philistines, and thus was his appearance. And he asked after thee, and thou wast not here. So I brought out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me: When Ishmael thy husband cometh home, say to him, The nail or the tent peg of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. And Ishmael knew that it was his father. He knew it was Abraham, and that his wife had honored him. And Yahuwah baruched Ishmael. Hallelujah. Ishmael, though not the birthright son, Yishak, still was favored by Yah. And he honored his father. He did the will of his father. What father does not want his child, regardless which child it is, the first, second, third, fourth, whatever, to honor, do his will? What man does not want his wife to have good relations with his parents? Even if that parent is not regularly in life. This man, he took his family, and lived in the wilderness. He had been sent off by this father, but of course he still honored his word. I don't know. I can't say that he had any trepidation or issues with Abraham. I don't know, but I see that his father's word still held weight. I didn't have a relationship with my father, but my wife had a relationship with hers. And I got to be around and see his words hold weight. I love that man, just like he was my father. Well, I don't know what loving a father is like, so I believe I did. But I love that man. And I loved how people loved him. And, I desire to have people love me like that, but, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't. I try to love people, and I'm thankful that, I have a wife that loves me, and my children do love me. I may not get love from everybody else, and so I may have to be content with the love that I do get, and I'm good. I used to have this straight up desire for all this attention and love and stuff, but the thing is, Yah has always told me, don't compromise my word. People say he ain't told you nothing, but I know why I walk the way I walk. I belong to him. 2001, while I was still in my first marriage, when I was contemplating suicide, he told me that I was his property. I belonged to him, and I had no right to destroy what belonged to him. And though I may not always do what I'm supposed to, I try hard to do what I'm supposed to the point that I'm isolated on the island a lot of times. And yet, I'm still able to smile. I'm able to be happy because he's placed this beautiful woman with me 22 years. And you just don't know how, when I get off of work and I come home and she's waiting up, though she may have to work in the morning, how it makes me feel. I love my wife. There's no competition to my wife. None. When I became an Israelite, yeah, I learned about polygyny. And I still say that it's legal. It's something that you can do, that the man can choose to do. He doesn't have to gain permission. But I believe he should speak it out and tell his wife and be honest with it. But I don't desire it because I've had a bad marriage. I'm happy in my marriage. I love my wife. I'm content with my wife. I want to grow old with her. No one else. Now, if Yah was to put that on me, that have more children, I want to obey Yah, of course, because he's first. He comes even before me, before my wife. But he has not put that in me. I'm always going to want to be obedient to him. And just like I choose him over her, I want her to choose him over me. I want my children to follow that same road. Yah first. No matter what people feel, no matter what people think, Yah first. And be willing to remove things from your life that affects that relationship with Yah. Thankfully, I have a wife that supports me in ministry, supports me in work. She is a help me out of this world. In 22 years, when I didn't expect to live past 18, I'm 52 and I'll be 53 next month. I'm highly favored. You can't tell me I'm not rich. May not have all the money and resources, but I have a Hava in me. Be able to remove things from your life that don't honor your father. Yeah. Be able to remove things from your life that does not honor the Father. And yes, I do love Yahusha. I don't always mention him a lot of times like everybody else, but I do believe in Yahusha. I do see him as Messiah or Mashiach. I see him as the second Adam. So I just want to make that clear too. So this is not just a message from a half of the book. Abba Yah, I thank you for the Shabbat. I thank you for loving on me and giving me a gift to spend my life with, to operate in ministry with. I thank you and I cherish you because you would not give someone that is worthless of your best gifts. You give me of your best gifts. I'm not big on like jewelry far as like the gold and the diamonds and stuff like I'll do wear, beads and stuff like that, but I have a jewel in my wife, the most precious of them all. That's how I take it. You've given that to me. My children, so precious, valuable. I thank you. Because if you didn't love me, why would I be able to hold on to these things and embrace and gain or have audience with things of such value or people actually of such values, ruachs of such value, if I was not also of value? I thank you for the Shabbat, and I thank you for this opportunity to just enjoy my wife and enjoy my life. May others who watch and listen to this gain from it. And again, I always accept critique. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Iron is supposed to sharpen iron, so I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I actually like it when they don't. Many don't hear me and don't believe that. But I'm one that my love language is conversing. My love language is physical touch. May I be able to keep moving in obedience to you. And thank you for allowing me to have access to the things that I enjoy as I am honoring and worshiping, praising, and serving you. Shabbat Shalom, One Vision Ministry, Shankul Yah, or Shankula Carter, Son or Ben Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.